everyone, this is Ellie Mae with Artesprix, and today I am back sharing some fun things with Artesprix. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the Artesprix Sublimation Starter Kit. It is a great way if you have not invested in the sublimation supplies with Artesprix for you to test it and try it out and get started with it. It includes a few things which we'll go through here in just a second, but you can get started with this right out of the box. Basic supplies that we're going to need today are copy paper. Yes, regular copy paper. That is what we use with the Artesprix sublimation supplies. They do not require a special paper. Copy paper is all we need. A pencil. You do not want to use a marker or a pen. Pencil does not transfer to our sublimation products, so we can use that in tracing our templates, and we'll go through that. A basic pair of scissors just for cutting some of the heat tape, and then something to hold your markers upright. Now, I have opened the box, but it is still in the same order as when I opened it, and I simply took out my markers so that I could get those standing upright before I did the video. You want to get those markers upright for about 15 to 20 minutes to get that ink flowing. And when you store the markers, you want to store them horizontal and flat. That will give you the best lifespan for your markers. So let's go ahead and open up the box and take a look at what's inside. Now here is a nice little box here. It has a starter kit explanation sheet in it. It gives you some information. It also has a QR code you can scan for more information. And then on the back, it simply tells you the very easy process of how you can use it, what this starter kit includes, and then it also gives you the times for the blanks, the heat and the times for the blanks. You can get more inspiration at artesprix.com as well. Let's take a look at what's in this box. So, according to that, we have a sample roll of heat tape. This is going to be enough to get you started here. We have the 10-pack of markers, which I have already taken out and put into a cup. Anything that will help to hold them vertical, so I've placed all of those in there. Then we have some protective paper is on the bottom. So once we open this up, it is your protective paper. Very, very important part of the process. This is a siliconized protective paper that is going to protect your heat press and your materials when we go to press it. Sublimation is an ink transfer, so you do not want to get that ink onto your press platen. It is a transfer. It is really science, and when it is subjected to the high heat and pressure, the ink turns to a gas, which transfers from our ordinary copy paper onto our sublimation blank. And the next thing we have in the box are the sublimation blanks. So when I open this up, there's a couple, there's two luggage tags. So there's the straps for the luggage tags. These are acrylic luggage tags, or acrylic bag tags is how they are labeled from. All of these are from Craft Express. So they all come in this package. So this is a neat way for you to test the products out and see what you like. Then we have two leather square coasters, and we have two canvas gift bags. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you how we can use these with simply the products that came in the box. Once you get started with Artesprix, it's really hard to stop and it can be very addicting. So I just want to give you that disclaimer up front. It is so fun to play with all of these colors and all of the supplies. So let's go ahead and let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my bag. Well, actually, the first thing I did was I have my heat source here on the right side. You can see that briefly in the side of the video. These are drawstring canvas gift bags. They are going to be pressed for 385 for 45 seconds. So I have my heat source. It is heating up while I am creating my product. Now I have a couple layers of copy paper here. Just make sure to protect your surface if the ink bleeds through on something, you want to wipe that off carefully before it dries too hard or it heat sets in. So we're simply going to take our pencil. Again, pencil does not transfer. And I'm just going to draw a rough outline around this gift bag. And this is going to give us an idea of where we can just draw in. So I know that my drawstring is up here in the top. You can choose whether you want to color and make it a full color design, or if you simply just want to do the bottom section of this. I'm going to simply, and bear with me, my drawing skills are not artistic in the least bit, but I'm going to try a few things out. So you can do your pencil. So you could simply start with sketching if you don't feel that you could do it and want to commit with the marker. And the great part is that pencil does not transfer. So you can sketch out, and remember, flowers are not, and you can go outside the lines here. That took me a little bit. Erase this. Again, not artistic. I thought about having my daughter draw something for me. Do we want a stem? I don't know. I opened the box. I didn't practice with this beforehand, so let's see. We could also just draw a bottom here, finish out the flower. And we have a rough sketch. Again, I'm not worried because pencil does not, add some dimension in here. Pencil does not transfer to our blank. So if I don't like that, I could simply draw another one. I have not wasted anything except for a piece of copy paper. So, you could decide if you want to do that or not. Pencil does not transfer. So this is great. Great to practice with. What you could also do is you could print out an image and then you could place that image underneath, print it out in black, and then simply trace over top of that image using a light box, or sometimes you can simply do it without the light box. So what I'm going to do first here is I am going to test my marker. Again, I've had these sitting up, so they have. I'm going to cut that off before I do my final press. And then I'm simply just going to draw around my design. And I wanted to share this to show you that you do not need any special skills. And you can simply have fun. And then this could be used as a gift bag for a friend. And it's a handmade project. Have fun, color outside the lines. Sometimes I think we're too serious when we get down into our art, or the more experience we have, the less we want to experiment. So there I have my flower. Let's color in. And one thing I do love about these Artesprix markers is even though you're coloring, so you can vary the consistency. So you can add more ink on top of it. It's going to give you a little bit different look, or give you some variation and some dimension in your color. Now, me personally, I am trying to stay away from the black lines. So you could have done your yellow before you did your black. We'll see if I mess up here. But just know when you're doing your ink, you want to be careful not to blend it in too much with your black. It'll affect your final colors. So I'm going to color this in, speed up the video. Now, since I drew on that stem, I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to outline that. Again, I am extending it out over the lines, and this is totally outside of my box. We'll see how my drawing turns out. Okay, so now that we have this, I'm going to check my heat press over here. It is almost ready. What I'm going to do, and you can see here, because I colored and that copy paper soaked it up, it did bleed through just a little bit here. So you want to be mindful of that on your surface. So you can either protect your surface with extra sheets of copy paper, which is very cost effective, or if you have a siliconized mat or the siliconized paper, you can also put that down here. While I'm mentioning that, I will mention that Artesprix now has a bulk roll. It is 60 feet by 12 inches of this protective paper. This was very, very highly requested. The Artesprix protective paper, I'm actually going to use what's in the box, but that is our next step. So I'm going to take this out of the package, and in this package, you get 10 sheets. Now, this is very important because, like I said, this protects your paper or protects your work surface. So we have 10 sheets of this siliconized protective paper in our package. You do not want to reuse this if there is any ink that is transferred from your blank to the protective paper. If there has been ink that's transferred and gets on this protective paper and you use it again, it could transfer to your next project. So keep that in mind, but the protective paper is such a popular product that they asked for larger rolls. So we now have a larger roll, and let me grab. Here is the smaller roll. It is a 15-foot by 12-inch roll, but they now have in bulk the 60-foot by 12-inch. So it's great if you are doing a lot of these projects. And since this transferred, I'm simply going to throw this away. I do not want it to get on my project. So next, I'm going to take a sheet of this protective paper, and I'm going to see if my blank will fit, and we're making a sublimation sandwich. So if your blank is small enough, and we'll see here, if your blank is small enough, you can simply take it and you can make a sandwich out of it. In this case, I am going to use 2 sheets because to me, this is too close to the edge. So I'm going to use 1 sheet of protective paper. I'll move this copy paper out of the way. 1 sheet of protective paper on the bottom. My blank is next, and I'm going to take this and I'm going to trim this down to around my template. Now, I use just the bottom, so I'm just going to trim off that top. And then I can cut this off. This is why we can color outside the lines. And then I can take this and I'm going to secure it down on top of my blank where I would like it positioned. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open this heat tape up. And then you just want to make sure that it's secure. You don't have to use a whole lot of the tape. You don't have to cover it completely, but you do want it to be secure so that your print is not going to move. So in this case, because my drawstring bag does have some difference in thickness, I'm going to use 2 pieces of tape at the top. And then, and you can see I'm pretty stingy with my heat tape. I cut it down to size with the scissors I need. And then first I'm going to flip this over, and that's going to come over on the edge. I'm okay with that. Gives me something to tape it to. So I'm going to tape it down here, and I think I'll add 1 more piece just to be safe. The one thing about sublimation is, since it is an ink transfer, it is permanent once it transfers. So you want to make sure that your blank is as secure as possible. And when you're heat pressing it, you do not want your heat press to shift. So if you are using some handheld press, you want to be mindful of that, because any movement could cause a what's called ghosting, which means that your image could look like a ghost. It could be blurred. So I'm simply going to, I have my make a sublimation sandwich. My bottom protective paper down, I have my blank, then I have my image on the top that's facing my blank, and I'm going to put another sheet of protective paper on top. Now this protects my surface when I move it to my heat press. You want to keep your sublimation sandwich just like this, and you want your print to be on top so that the heat press is the first thing that it's hitting. But you want to make sure that you have excess protective paper around the edges of your blank so it doesn't blow out and cause problems onto your platen. So you do want to make sure to protect your press. So I'm going to just simply move this over here to my press. And you do want to be mindful of the drawstrings. Sometimes those can interfere with the pressure. I'm simply going to, actually I'm going to take this off. I'm going to test my pressure on my press. It's a little loose, but I think it'll be good for the drawstrings. Make sure your drawstrings are not underneath your bag. And then I'm simply going to press this, and we'll come back in 45 seconds. Okay, now you want to carefully lift your press up. Don't let it jar. And then I'm going to just release that gently. I'm going to let that sit there and settle for just a few seconds. I'm actually going to grab my protective mat. This is an Artesprix Heat Safe Surface Protective Mat. Now this has had a chance to cool. It is going to be extremely hot. So if you are handling it right away, make sure you use heat safe gloves. And then you can see here, well, hopefully you can see on the video, there was ink transferred. I can see my entire image in this ink transfer. And of course, that's going to depend on how saturated you are coloring your object in with, or if you're using the paints or anything like that. That's going to depend on that. So what I'm simply going to do is, your blank is going to be extremely hot, so be careful. Remove the tape. And then let's take a peek. Ooh, look at that. So you can see, even though there still looks like to be a lot of ink on there, I have tried a second press. The second press does not do very well. It's very faded and dull. But you can see here all that color variation. Look how bright that is. And this was just simply me kind of doodling, which is not the best. But I wanted to show you that you can just do outside the box. Just start drawing. Just see what it's going to be. Now, keep in mind, when I drew this, I wasn't thinking about it. But your image is going to be mirrored. So this is how I drew it. And since you place it face down on your object, it's going to be mirrored when it comes up. It's a flower. It doesn't really matter here. And here's the finished project. This is a great way to get started with Artesprix products, and really the possibilities are endless. I had a little bit of fun playing with the rest of the supplies in the box, adding some stamps, and I did use some stamp ink, but you could also do this with the markers too. Thanks for joining.